Okay, it's already 8. Let's start now. Good evening and warm welcome, brothers and sisters around the globe to Wondrous Lotus Sutra discussion with Brother Joe. Before we start, let us invite Brother Joe to lead us in paying homage to 6.20am. Let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Cheng Yen by making 3 sincere bows. Please rise, palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. And a bow to our beloved Master, Master Cheng Yen, and our Abode Masters. Okay, today we have Wondrous Lotus Sutra discussion. Sister Yvonne will be our facilitator with 3 sharers, Sister Hui Ying, Sister GT, and Sister Hui Yin. Okay, let us hand over to Sister Yvonne. Sister Yvonne, over to you. Ka'an.
Ka'an, Sister Lily. Good evening, Brother Joe, brother and sister on the cloud. Grateful for the opportunity given by Sister Siu Ching for me to facilitate this session. With me today are 3 young aspirant sisters in terms of TC years, one who is a new volunteer, one Chen Si, and one progressing to PX next year, Hei Xin. The 3 sisters are Hui Ying, Hui Yin, and Sister GT. So give me a moment to share my screen, yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me introduce Sister Hui Ying. Sister Hui Ying is the pillar in our English Pure Heart Translation team. In fact, the birth of Pure Heart Translation was in a way triggered by her. The story goes like this. She was awakened by one of Brother Joe's Sunday morning session by the question, what can we do more? This led her to contact Sister Siu Ching that she wished to contribute as a translator. So actually, the big benefactor of Pure Heart Translation team is our dear Brother Joe. And Sister Hui Ying is a very diligent sister that will selflessly provide backup whenever any sister requested for support. And I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all to read her transcript. Her words will move your hearts and at times bring one to tears. Today's sisters, Hui Ying has chosen episode 778, The Law of Karma, and the stanza is, as are the causes and conditions, so are the effects and retribution. This is the truth and is not illusory. Even after attaining Buddhahood, it is the same. Thus, the Buddha suffered retributions of cold, wind, and horse fodder. The Tathagata put aside his honor status for a humble one. So over to you, Sister Hui Ying. I will stop sharing, yeah?
Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Let me share my screen. Share. Okay, and then that's my slide. Okay, good evening, brothers and sisters. Today my topic is about the law of karma because I have experienced it myself that brought me to realize that it's really not a very, how to say, 粒粒不爽 that means it's not, somebody translate. it's not 不爽. It's not good. So, okay, let me just share this. So, Buddha encountered difficulties also because he has not exhausted his karma. So this leads us to understand that even though you attain Buddhahood, but if you have done something bad, that it will eventually caught up to you. And everything we do determines where we're going in future. So if we do bad, then it will lead us to bad stuff. So how I met Tzu in the first place was, well, this is a Toronto city, I think everybody knows, but my university was actually not Toronto. It's actually in Toronto, but whenever I say Toronto, then nobody knows where is it, because it's a place that is surrounded by all this forests, and it's kind of rural. So people just joke around. I just joke around here. Let's say that's in Toronto, but it's actually Toronto. So I met Tzu when I was in university, and this university is like half an hour drive from Ipoh. Ipoh is the city in Perak, and I met this Jingsi Books and Cafe. So this is the Tzu liaison office at Perak. And then this was back in 2000, I guess 4. So this is in the Jingsi Books and Cafe, and this is me. Yeah, very innocent looking. Anyway, so my story, let's start my story about law of karma. So before this, so before the transformation, I use transformation, the word. Before transformation, I was a very bad person. The top 5 precepts, you know, the no killing, no stealing, no fornication, no lying, no alcohol. I did everything complete, right? So in 2009 to 2013, I was living in vain. I was just partying, and then just, you know, not doing what I'm doing now. Never, I knew about Tzu. I was a member, but I'm not active at all. I never engaged in any activities. So in 2013 was when I made a very big mistake. I couldn't really tell you what it is because it's too embarrassing to say it, but it's the top 5 precepts. Okay, so I've committed that transgression. It's a great transgression. Luckily, nobody get hurt. But what's done is done, right? So in 2006, after I did that, I was really, really regret. But, you know, because sometimes you are just in ignorance and you just do it. You even though you know it's wrong, you just do it. And in 2013, the bad retribution came. It came for 3 months. So what bad retribution was that I came down with a disease. I was diagnosed with something really like that needs surgery. Okay, that disease is something to do with the 5 precepts. It's something to do with what I did to others. Okay, so that time when that disease, I actually, this picture here, I actually flew to US on that day, on that night, and then from Malaysia to US, it took like more than 24 hours. So along the journey, it was very tough. Well, it's not that tiring, but I guess the body experienced the tiredness. And then when I reached the US on that day itself, as I reached there, the symptoms become very bad, like become very obvious. And then I got scared because I know that something is wrong, like something like this, you know, the this is not my picture. Okay, I just put it as an example. So the symptom becomes bad, like the thing is growing bigger, right? And I immediately took a picture of it, and then I sent to my friend, and I asked, hey, what's this thing? It's growing in me. And then he said that, what have you done? Why are you in US and you have this thing here? It's really bad, and you should come back here and get treatment. And then I didn't. I went on for after 2 weeks, something like 1 or 2 weeks, and then I came back because I realized during that time I tried to treated myself. Like I search online, I see maybe use apple cider, maybe take this. I even went to the clinic, but because my insurance wasn't covered there, so in the end I have to come back and get treated. So the moment I got this this disease, you know, the moment that my friend is a doctor, so he told me that, hey, you got such and such, and then immediately I thought of the mistake that I did back in 2013, and I realized, shit, this is it, right? This is really 现报, 就是this life you commit something and then the retribution come to you this life. So yeah, so the 3 months, for 3 months, you know, when I still have to go to work, so I got on the LRT, and then I just, you know, with the thing growing in me, I got on the LRT and look at people, you know, just by just looking at people, and you think like, geez, I just, you know, it's like, if only I can just be back a normal person, just, you know, nothing else matters anymore, you know, I just be a normal person, please. But it's not happening. Well, no, it didn't happen that time. So what I was lucky. This disease was with me for 3 months, and I had to go through like that disease actually requires surgery, but lucky me, because I met that friend. He uses different kind of treatment, non-conventional treatment, that I was cured. But I've been through I was on a surgery table, and that was when I realized that, you know, lying on that table is like lying on the cutting board. It's like you have no control of anything at all. You realize the 精神 aphorism of life has no ownership, but merely the privilege to use it. So this body, it's just no use, you know. So that was what have been carved in me very deeply. And I realized that I silently, I just say that if I can recover from this, I'm gonna use my time to do good. I'm gonna actively, you know, not that active, but I'm gonna do more, right? So before this, I used to think that, oh, I'm just a donor, and donating is enough, you know. But then in 2017 is where I say, okay, I really recovered. And after recovery, I joined City, and this is I joined recycling, and these are the some medical outreach, and then some activities, and I also promoted the recycling the blankets, how they turn the bottles into the blankets, etc. Yes, so that is actually my story about karma, the karma that I experienced. And so the second thing that I would like to share is my story about giving rise to a thought of ignorance. So this is something that I learned during the MCO time, where I come back home and live with my parents, and I realized that it's not easy to actually face your habitual tendencies in front of your own family members. When you're outside, you deal with people, you're polite, you're friendly with them because they're non-related to you. But the challenge is when you're at home. So this, I used to like shout at them, you know, some like I got angry, and then I lose temper very easily. And then I realized that that's not right, because of that ignorance. When you have that flame, it's like so this one is what I want to share is like when there's one time, and then I lost temper, and then when I just spew out the bad words, harsh words, and then immediately after that, my heart feels very bad, So what I want to say is this is actually also a kind of a law of karma, because once you do that bad thing, the inside is already feeling bad. So you're actually already feeling the karma itself. So this is what I actually want to say. So the picture here, this is my mother, like 20 over years ago. And then this is she now. And this actually, see, the parents is already so old, right? And you don't even have you should have the filial piety. You should have the understanding to actually understand that they're old, And then I especially remember what Brother Robert shared about how he organized like a very big celebration during the birthday of his parent. And that actually really touches me a lot. And in one of the in one of the Puti Sinyao, in one of the videos, I've also learned from that the master that says, 反而会对家里的人计较，但是对自己的人还没有做到。So no matter what good deeds you do outside, but if you're not good with your own family, that is just not right. So yeah, the first person to get the effect of karma from cause of ignorance is ourselves. So that is what I wanted to say just now. The moment you have the ignorance, it's like a flame that is burning in you. All right, so on an unrelated note, well, this is just something of a little joke that I just want to share. I joined the translation team like 3 months ago because Brother Joe, I just randomly looked at one of the videos on Saturday Dharma, I think, and then Brother Joe said about the translation team, and then he said something about that it was the pioneers never actually had experience at all, but they do it anyway. They didn't have, they were not expert, and this brought me to think that, hey, yeah, I'm no expert too, but how come they can do it and then I can? And I have the privilege of internet. I have internet access. I have time to work from home. So that's how I got into translation. And this is one of the little sentences that I translated that was a little funny. So in the year 600 to 700, virtuous sages would expound Dharma there, and their disciples would gather in front of the Buddha's statues to listen to the teachings. It was deemed that the Buddha's nose is unobstructed, and it symbolizes the expound of Dharma is unhindered. Well, I find it a little stupid, because I wrote this. It was deemed that the Buddha's nose is unobstructed, therefore the Dharma is expounded unhindered. What I actually wanted to say, I forgot to paste the real sentence here. It actually means like, so in the ancient times, this was in Afghanistan, and they have that statues, and then because the people were in the cave, and then talking, expounding Dharma, and then the somehow the Buddha's nose has, the Buddha's nose means the statue. It has like an amplification kind of function, and then when they speak, when they expound, then it will amplify the sound. So I'm sorry, I forgot to paste the real sentence, but it was a lame joke anyway. So this picture here, I'm not sure if Brother Joe is online, but I just wanted to know if this is him. I know this is him, this one. Can you see my cursor? I mean, the second picture here. This
Yes,
one's
I can.
him.
That's me. Yes.
Oh, you're here? Okay.
But no,
so
the one on the left is not. No.
It's not? All right. Okay.
That looks
So
like, no.
all right. Well, it's unrelated note. And this picture, it's also unrelated. I'm sorry, I should have removed that. Yeah, so thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Hui Ying, for the awesome sharing. So in case Brother Joe, you missed the earlier part, actually Sister Hui Ying was actually inspired by you during one of your session. That's because in a way you are the benefactor of this Pure Heart Translation team. After listening to you, she actually contacted Sister Siu Ching, and that's how the Pure Heart Translation team started. So over to you, Brother Joe, to give feedback to Sister Hui Ying and share.
Okay, thank you. I think I didn't get that part, but I got in pretty early. I think I got in at 8:05, and I heard about what happened on the flight to the U.S. And the only thing I can think of was it must have been torturing. I think we all have experiences where you know it's just not feeling good, or the health itself is not a place where you feel powerless, in fact. And that's when I heard the story, that's how I felt. It must have been story.
Brother Joe, you're lagging. You're lagging, Brother Joe.
We can't hear you. You need to repeat.
That's how I felt.
Your connection is not good.
Yeah.
Brother Joe, we lost you.
Okay.
Okay, now
Right.
it's
No, yeah, that was my internet connection. I think it's just too many people are waiting to count down, I think so. The Taiwan connection.
Yeah.
No, but so I could only imagine what the fear or the sense of unsettledness in you, and I felt, you know, you could feel the fear. I would be fearful if I'm heading to another country where I wouldn't know what to do when something like this is happening. And I would like to just compare that to, I think Master wanted us to remember that feeling, for remembering that when our lives had no anchor, or you thought you had an anchor, but you really don't. So you're drifting, and you're drifting to a place where you have no control over. And the anchor is there to help you. So even though the face of the ocean is rocking, right? It's rocking back and forth, but you know you have that anchor there, and that holds you no matter what. It's almost like a safety net where you know it's okay. It's almost like you know it's okay that you know, somebody would tell you, hey, it's okay, or it will be better, you know, don't worry. And I think that's what Dharma does for us. And if we can find the refuge in Dharma, I think that's what, as I mentioned, I really believe that's what Buddhism is really about, is to, so that you will be able to find that peace, that inner peace. And that inner peace is a conduct, it's a conduit to get to your Buddha nature. Without that peace, your Buddha nature isn't going to appear. And whatever the practice that we use, whether it's, you know, practicing, whether it's walking the Bodhisattva path, or people might do chanting or meditation, whatever it is, it's all trying to get you to that inner peace. So whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. But in Tzu Chi, the path that we do is by helping others, by doing the Bodhisattva path. And I could feel that fear, but I also see that if you can remember that fear, and I think that's the hardest part, right? Like the teacher always tells you, remember the pain of not studying ahead of the test. Remember this. And then we remember for that day, and then we forget. And then we continue to do the things that, you know, so I think, sister, you have a very vivid memory when you were sharing that story. I think it came back to you. And I think that's what we need to remember too. And coming back to this very special day, which is the December 31st, I'm very glad and honored to be able to spend the 31st, the last day of 2021, with all of you online. And I get to spend it with Master, right? And you get to spend it too. We all get to do this. We're physically here, but you probably all were online earlier, and you probably all were following Master's footsteps around Taiwan. But it's indeed, Master was saying that she didn't even realize that today is the last day. I know she knows, but she just said, "Oh, it's, you know, we're here every day, just like every other day." But I think it does have some special meaning in that we are now crossing into 2022, and look back in 2021. Are we able to look back and do and just to look through all the things that we did and what we said, you know, the 5 poisons or the 5 the precepts that which one have we broken or which one have we tried to fix? And I think it's a good time to actually look back on at this time. So thank you for going through that with us. And I'm glad that you have found your what you want to do, okay, what you want to do and what you think is the right thing for you. I think it's the most important thing is to find the path that you want to, that you need to, that you want to be on. And the last translation, I really don't know what about the unhindered nose. I really can't understand it, but I can read it and I could see the sincerity in it, that Buddha must have this unobstructed nose. And it has this image in my head that it's unobstructed. But the next time I know, we are paying our respect to the Buddha, I'll be sure to take a look at the nose, and I'll remember what you said about that translation. And that's what that thing was sticking in my mind, in my 8th consciousness. And I'll be looking at everybody's nose and like, oh, what is to be an unobstructed nose? But yeah, that's the beauty of it, right? You think that you made a mistake, but in reality, you made people want to look up just what exactly you're trying to translate. And that will get, traffic. That will get people to look at, what was she talking about? And then people will try to look at, what is unobstructed nose? And maybe you get more people to look at it. So that's perhaps another way to look at it. But anyway, thank you so much. I think, like you said, I really believe it too. And this is what Sister Mei Yun Lao Shi here in Taiwan, she always liked to say this, right? She said, 你不用很厉害才开始，但是你开始了 something like that. You know what I'm saying, right? See, I'm doing the obstructed way of this phrase. But exactly, right? Nobody started no one was born to do translation. Some people might be better at it, but no one was born to do it. And because you want to, and you get better at it. Today, okay, just today, one of the team of the volunteers coming to share with Master, and they were talking about a particular insect. They were at Sanhua, okay, it was called 独角仙. I don't know what that is. It's kind of a insect that's, I'm not really good with that. Okay, so I don't know how to actually describe it. But anyway, it's kind of like a bug, a kind of a hard shell bug. But the volunteer that was sharing and talking about this, I mean, he went on and on to talk about the scientific attributes of what this is and their life cycles and what goes on in their lives, right? And then Master asked, so what do you do? Like, how do you know of this? And then he said, I did my homework. That's what happened. I did my homework. And the reason was because they had to do a sort of a natural exhibition. And so they use that as a topic. So he had to do the homework to explain to people, right? So no, he wasn't an expert, but he put in the time. So he became an expert among non-experts. And he's still not the expert, but among us, he knows the most about this. And therefore we look up to him and say, oh, well, Master thinks that he's very mindful because he tries and sincere about what he learns, and he's very willing and passionate about what he does. And I think that's the most important, right? Even sometimes the things we translate, if you go back to it and you go like, what in the world was I talking about, right? But then you realize that the other people hearing it, they might actually get it, right? Because that's the amazingness of Dharma. How many of you didn't understand Taiwanese before? Now you get it, but did you think you really get it, or you think you get it, right? So for us, it's the same. We speak the language, but did I really understand it? I don't know, right? But anyway, I'm sure somebody saw that translation and they got it, and they go like, I want to thank you for doing this wonderful translation. What? I'm supposed to know? Yes, that one, because that really got me to understand the certain things about life, maybe, right? So that's the beauty of Dharma. So many people see from different perspectives that it actually works for somebody. Okay, so don't give up and have that faith. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Hui. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Yeah, so we are very grateful to Sister Siu Ching because she accepts all of us, whether we are 0.5%, 50%, just join as long as you are willing. So she gives us the room to grow, so that we are very grateful to her for that. So I will share my screen again to introduce the second speaker. Okay. Our second speaker tonight is Sister Hui Ying, and she is also in the English Pure Heart Translation team. Sister Hui Ying by profession is a business architect, and she's new to Tzu Chi, joined us in 2020 and became a new volunteer in 2021. A very diligent sister, and without fail, every Saturday, she will be at our community recycling center to help out. She's our center's ambassador to guide public in sorting the recyclables and placing them to the correct bins with her patience and gentleness. Also, I'm very grateful to Sister Hui Ying because despite being new to Tzu Chi, yet she has the courage and willingness to accept the invitation to share at this platform. And tonight, she has chosen episode 819, the practice of loving kindness and patience. The stanza is as follows. If we lack the virtues of compassion and wisdom, it is difficult to transform sentient beings. Without loving kindness and patience, it is difficult to achieve peace in Saha world. A single deviant thought leads one to fall into the 6 realms, focus only on awakening oneself and take no delight in the great Dharma. So now I hand over the platform to Sister Hui Ying.
Thank you, Sis Yvonne. Yeah, a very good evening to Brother Joe's brothers and sisters online who spent the very last day of the year to 2021 with us today. I hope it's my honor to share this humble experience with you all. Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
I hope it will make everyone too boring. And of course, I don't have a lot of experience like all the brothers sisters online here. I hope that my humble experience will give some of the insight how the journey or how I actually joined Tzu Chi. Yeah, it's a Tzu Chi journey that I have embarked on. So it all started in 2020. It was like during August. As usual, people have afflictions. And at that point of time, it was like, okay, I was having some problem in my job. So this is me. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I was having problems, and it was about that. It was for the first time in my career that I was being demoted by my boss. Actually, yeah, I was like wondering why I was being demoted at that point of time. Maybe because of the COVID, and I mean the business is not that good, and they wanted someone to become the. Most of the corporates world is about the bell curve, and probably because I was new to that company as well. So I'll become the sacrifice for that point of time. So he picked me up and then demoted me. And beside that, he actually transferred me to changed my role actually, and to become a pre-sales, which I don't really like it a lot. So out of like probably out of anger and so on and so forth, then I decided to give myself a birthday present. August is my birthday, so I told myself I will leave this job. I will quit this job. Yeah. Although it was like COVID time and it's like everyone was like jobless and I just don't care. Of course, my parents, especially my mom, wouldn't agree on that. She always advised me, at least get a job. Yeah. At least you have income. Why would you like to quit your job? It's a very good company after all. But of course, I wouldn't share all this problem with her. And I was actually having some problem sleeping, insomnia at that point of time. So I said, quitting is a good choice for me. And I decided to quit. And usually, if I quit, if it is not because of pandemic, usually I will be like buying some tickets and fly off from Malaysia to get myself like a rest or running away probably, to say it. Yeah. So this is where, because due to pandemic and I can't fly and I can't travel, and this is where I actually know about Tzu Chi. It's not that the first time I was being told about Tzu Chi, because my cousins, my aunts are all Tzu Chi, commissions actually. But it's just like, I heard a lot about it, but it's just that I never stepped into it, or it's just NGO to me, that's all. And of course, it's like you know about it, but you never really understand it. Yeah. So at a point in time, I was looking around and then thinking, what can I do without a job, right? So I was thinking, I should do something more meaningful in my life, and I would like to contribute to this society as well. And I think a lot of people need my help, even though I was jobless and I don't know where is my destiny will end up in. So I actually Google. The first thing I did was Google, Tzu Chi. Then I searched for it, and I found a form inside that Tzu Chi. Then it was like so many things I need to fill up. It's like, why? It's like now people don't like to fill up a lot of things. Then I just go through one by one. And I found, okay, recycling is the only thing that it doesn't really need a lot of like you don't need any knowledge about it. You don't need to know how to do translations, or you don't need to do you don't need to have a teacher's certifications or anything else. So I think this is the easiest. Probably I can contribute. So I just click it and submit the form. Okay. Then later, our sister called me up and then asked me, could you come to this recycling center? It's near around Meru. It was like not too far from where I was staying last time. Why am I not aware there was a recycling center? Yeah. So that is where the first time is like, usually I don't join like alone. But this one is like, okay, yeah, I think I'm the only one jobless, and my friend is all not really interested into it. So I just joined myself and went to the Meru Recycling Center. And because of this, then yeah, that's where I started to like feelings to learn a lot of because of my compassions to others and loving hearts. I want to contribute to the society is where I actually ended in this recycling. Yeah. So this was the Meru Recycling Center. And since today is 2021, I would like to have a throwback of what I have been doing besides recycling. Yeah. So yeah, my sister, Sister Wendy, actually encouraged me to join more different activities besides recycling alone. So I actually joined for the food care, which is we actually pack foods for all the people who is impacted during COVID. Besides that, we also prepare foods for the ones in the PPV. Yeah, and there was a lot of first time, you see. Yeah, and I'm not a very patient people, and because of the hurry sickness that we have of the modern people, everything is in a fast mode, and we lack of patience. And it was like when I have to repeating doing the same thing for like packing all the foods in 300 packets or doing all the bento in a special kind of orientations to make it really look nice. And then, or we also do a lot of like recycling that I have to ask people to segregate all the items, which I have to repeat over and over again every week. Yeah, but still, I continue to do it and never give up. And besides that, I also joined one of the like home visit to see whether they are eligible for the contribution from the publics as well. And recently, I also joined into the cleaning up after the floods. It was at Sri Muda. Well, that was really unforgettable. Reason being was when I went in last week, when we reached there, it was like very early in the morning. And I still can remember because it was like second day, it was being unblocked and we went in. When the window of the car just rolled down, I can smell that it's really, really disgusting, which I never ever have, smell such smell, And then the whole city is like, the whole area is like super quiet and it was like freezing. Frost like that is like that city at that point of time. It was like, you can feel that it's so, heartbreaking to see. It used to be a place that I have lunch there. But then it was like, because of the flood, everything was, all the car was scattered around. And then the house was like, all the, a lot of rubbish around. So it was quite a really good experience, I'll say, because without that, you won't feel that how lucky we are in Malaysia, especially, because we are really in terms of Malaysia, in terms of geography, we are not prone to natural disaster so much. I think this flood is like quite for so many years that we encountered it. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm not a patient person, and it really required a lot of wisdom to control a lot of things, especially speech. That is one of my problem, because most of the time I tend to be jump into conclusion, and even before people complete their sentence, I will actually jump and provide feedback. That's wrong, is something not right. And after I joined City, because of the affections, I actually met with Sis Yvonne, and she asked me to join this translation. Without hesitation, I was like, oh, it's just a one-time offer, it should be fine. I don't have problem to translate because I did it before. But later on only, I found out that it's not just one, but you have to consistently contribute. And it's a Dharma talk that I have to translate, which I totally don't know anything about it. But I was trying, and I'm not doing translation, but it's more editing as well. So I think I'm still okay. And I still remember it's like, it was 6-7 o'clock every early morning that I promised that Sis Yvonne, I will do the translations. It was, And there was once that because of the master's road trip, then we actually changed it to 5 o'clock. I was like, no, I'm not that early person, but I still managed myself to wake up that early to do the editing as well. Yeah. So it requires a lot of like patience and a lot of like, which I usually is just like a to kind of people. 3 minutes hits that I usually keep. I'm not that persistent in doing the same thing over and over again. But throughout all these translations, I think around 2 or 3 months as well. Yeah, so it's like little and little, you learn something throughout your way. And then now I will see myself actually is like changing bits and bits. Yeah, it's about, I will be trying to be more patient in, one other example is that I also just changed another team job. And when I saw my my manager was like on her slide, there was some things not correct. I don't really just said that it was wrong. Yeah, but at the end of it, I will just tell her that you missed out something. If it is only I'll just on the spot and just highlight it out. But now I think I am changing bits and bits. Yeah. So I learned today that I step into this home in Suzy. Yeah. I hope that I will end this with aphorism, which is if we have a bad temper and a sharp tongue, we cannot be considered a good person, even we have a good heart. I think it really resonates with me a lot. Reason being, I would consider I'm such kind of like compassionate person, but because of my bad temper, of sharp tongue, then I wouldn't consider a good person. Then I should actually change starting point. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Yin, for the wonderful sharing. Over to you, Brother Joe, for your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Sister Hui. I think thank you for your sharing. You are willing to share with us the journey that you've gone through. I think for me, I'm also I seem nice, but I'm not, and I could be quite nasty when it comes to people. There's some coworkers, but we're really close. But she would just say things, and I would just shout back like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I would go with some of these my twisted logic, and I would be like, right. So I could imagine, and I don't like that side of me, and I regret, and I tell her, we do this all the time, and sometimes it gets not very, very good, and it might affect other people, but they all know that we are in this, so
the close plan, yes, yeah.
Right. So, but then I keep on remembering, what kind of seed do I want? What kind of seed? Is it a seed where people remember and remember what you did well, what you did good? And I want to make sure that all the seed that I put in are good seeds. And that's hard. But I think that is the right direction, by going through your transformation, you're going through the affliction, and then going through the environmental, the recycling, and then you go through the translation. I think the part that I see is recycling is basically picking things out, right? You're choosing you're sorting things, right? You're sorting the good and the bad. In other words, the you before would just do it, right? You would just right? I don't like it. No deal, right? I'm gone. I'm out of here, right? And now recycling is more like, okay, I'm taking the good, and I know that is the part that I can't recycle. So there's one more step further now, right? But that's only recycling. It's only sorting, right? You're sorting out the good and the bad. And then the translation is so that you make it so it makes sense, it has meaning, and it actually is Dharma, right? So it's not just picking out the good words. Oh, this good word I like. That word I don't like, so you take it out. No, you make it so that there is a meaning beyond what you're just picking the good words out and the bad words out and things like that. No, it's more one step above. So your transformation is going from affliction, which is no choices at all. You're not choosing anything. And then now the next step is selecting what need to be recycled, that still has use and still good, into something. Now I can make something more than just sorting them out. And I think translation is something that we as quick-tongued people really need to use, because you have to think twice about the words that you are putting in, because you are translating, right? It's not you anymore. You are you're speaking instead of the person that's actually doing the speaking, right? You're translating for them. So you have to be very careful with the words you pick. And now, if we can only be as careful about the words that we speak, imagine if someone is translating for you, and imagine You are translating yourself. Now, the words you pick will be very careful, right? You have to think about the right words because it's a different language. Now, don't think of it as a different language. Think of it as a third-person perspective. How would I translate what I want to say out in accordance to what we should be saying? Okay, so and I'm hoping that's what I got out of translation is it seems like we can be so good at translating other people's words, but are you good at translating what you want to say? And sometimes many things that we say we don't really mean what we say. That means we are horrible translators for ourselves, because what you have inside, maybe it's just that affliction, right? You talked about that the negative feelings, and then you are saying things out too quickly without actually translating. But if you're thinking of yourself as a translator for your heart, for your mind, not someone who just speaks out what you think, but you're translating your mind to another person, maybe it might be different. This is something that I just thought of when you're showing that picture of that journey from affliction to recycling to translation. So I think it's a journey that's very worthy of our time and worthy of the change. And I hope that we could be doing translation for ourselves. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Hui.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Thank you, Sister Huyin. Okay, now we go to other speaker. I will share the screen again. Okay, our final sharer tonight is Sister GT, and which I have the affinity to know her in 2019 during the 4-in-1 trip to Taichung. I hope too she will become a Pure Heart translation team in the near future. Sister GT has retired from the corporate world. Since then, she has immersed herself in walking among the masses, a key member in setting up an environmental education center at her community, volunteering at refugee school, distribution of PPV, food care, and so forth for both Malaysian and refugee. I'm also very grateful to Sister GT because she accepted this invitation to share at this platform, though she was just newly exposed to the Dharma. So GT has chosen tonight. Sorry, okay. So Sister GT has chosen episode 20, with faith, enter the sea of the Buddha Dharma, and the stanza, with faith, we can fulfill causes and conditions that lead the Bodhisattva path that show us the virtuous Dharma of suchness. Here and now, people are filled with knowledge and cleverness. If the great teachings are not promoted, people cannot be trained. So over to you, GT. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Let me share my slide. Can you see that? Can you see my slide?
Yep.
Okay. Amitabha, Brother Joe, brothers and sisters. In this episode, Master reminded us the importance of having faith. Faith means we must not have doubts in our heart. It also means to be patient and steadfast in our spiritual cultivation. Without faith, we will be reluctant to practice. And without practice, we will not be able to eliminate our old habitual tendencies. So we will easily be consumed by the three poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance, all feed off each other. Faith helps us to recognize and understand the root causes of our unhappiness and suffering, so we can begin to convert that negative energy to something positive. So the next time I feel negative emotions rising, I will have to ask myself, which of the three poisons are causing me to feel like this? Master said the fulfillment of faith is important. Example of faith, the 5,000 disciples who left. They were impatient, lacking in faith. The 50 cents in the bamboo bank that helped and inspired so many people, that started with faith. Tzu was able to help many people, bringing them hope because we have faith in Tzu. Like Master said, it's not that we believe because we have hope, but we have hope because we believe. Faith is the very foundation that initiates our actions that will lead us to experience realization in order to gain understanding. Actions, realization, understanding. Spiritual practice is about taking actions. And we are blessed here in Tzu because Master has paved the way for us to walk on, but we need to be firm in the direction of our personal cultivation. Master said, without faith, the words of the sutra will not remain in our heart, no matter how many sutras we listen to. The truth does not enter the mind just through listening only. When we initiate actions, we gain understanding, and by practicing it daily, we build and strengthen our faith. If we refuse to walk the path, then we won't know how beautiful the place is. We need to experience it ourselves. I guess it's like going to the gym every day, but instead of doing the training, we just watch other people running on the treadmill. It just doesn't work that way. So breathe in the Dharma and breathe out into the way of Tzu. This reminds me of this Jingxi aphorism. The sutra points the way, the path for us to walk on. Do not become so attached to the sutra. You forget to actualize it in practice. Both understanding and actions must be simultaneous, but we must be mindful so that we will not just walking the path, walking but not seeing. And Master said that Buddha came to train and awaken us. The Buddha opens and reveals to us, but whether we realize and enter the teaching depends on us as our capabilities, level of kindness, and stubbornness, like in my case, are different. I will always remember this invitation from Master during our retreat. She said, you are at the front door of Tzu and the door is open. Please come in and begin your cultivation. She was talking to hundreds of volunteers, but I felt as if Master was talking to me. We must have the right faith, but having the right understanding is also important. Do we know why we are walking this path? Being a relatively new volunteer at that time, most people were more interested in when will I progress to patient instead of how was my progression in my cultivation. It felt like, at the time, it felt like the focus to be a commissioner was more than the focus on self-cultivation itself. I'm a Jianxi now and hopefully patient soon, then commissioner one day. But the progression is just part of our path in Tzu, not the main goal. Sometimes when we are so attached to this progression, we might forget the main reason we are walking this path. After commissioning, would we be as diligent in Tzu activities as before? I've seen some volunteers who lost their aspiration. And honestly, I was afraid. I was afraid because I do not want the same thing to happen to me. Faith requires commitment. We don't just practice it when we have the time, but we must make the time to practice. And faith must be sustainable. When we practice and incorporate it in our daily lives, we will reaffirm and strengthen our faith. So I remind myself that my spiritual progression will not be determined by the color of my uniform. Because Tzu path is a path of spiritual cultivation that continues throughout our journey. I don't think my faith in Tzu ever wavered, but I think my faith in myself did, whether I have what it takes to walk this path. I used to think that I have to wait until I have improved a little bit more patient, more compassionate. My understanding of Dharma must be deep enough before I made a commitment to progress. But now when I'm in doubt, I think of Master's invitation when she said, come in and begin your cultivation. I should not be too worried about being perfect or not in my cultivation first before making a commitment. I guess to have faith in Tzu, I must have faith in myself, not doubting my own capability. After joining Tzu and doing some of the activities, I now understand why Master wants us to do both self-cultivation and own practice. Witnessing the suffering in charity cases can be very challenging as we feel their pain and our own helplessness to stop their suffering. Then there were times, I think more than a year ago, when I was overcome by emotion and I didn't want to continue. But I think the more difficult it is to do something, the more I need to do it. Joining Tzu, at first I thought I was just helping the poor. Instead, I was the one at the receiving end. I was told we must do good without expecting anything in return, but I felt I received something back every time, because my journey in Jersey becomes a journey of cultivation, self-discovery, and unexpected fulfillment of joy and gratitude. That's why I always say that before Jersey, I knew the meaning of the word gratitude. But after joining Jersey, I understand what gratitude feels like. Gratitude comes with lesson and on humility and respect to all. It also makes me aware of my own potential and areas that I need to improve on. It is during difficult time that our faith will be challenged. Example, last year, the pandemic brought suffering and fear to many people, and that fear escalated the anti-refugee campaign last year. Why was Jersey seeking donation and helping people from different faiths instead of taking care of our own? Defending what we did in CBI and the refugee school, it just created more conflict with me and my friends and family members. So instead, I shared with them how the experience helped me. I really hope that they also noticed the improvement in me. Hopefully they saw a slightly better version of who I was before. Maybe I like to think that maybe that's why they have their mindset changed after that. And some even signed up as donating members. We must not doubt the direction of our personal cultivation, not letting others cause us to stray from this path. I'm glad I stays on. In every disaster, there is an important lesson. During the recent flood, we heard of beautiful stories, not just about what the volunteers done, but about how refugees and foreign workers helped the flood victims. One family raised their white flag when they were trapped in their house and were without food. And these two Myanmar men who stayed opposite their house, they jumped into the water in the dark to send and share what little food they had. And these guys, they were probably refugees, yet what they did was selfless. I remember Master said, everyone has goodness in them. Coming back to Jersey, later on, I learned that Jersey has a lot of rules. One must also be very disciplined. That part is actually the challenges in my cultivation. But it's okay now. Having faith in Jersey means you must follow the way of Jersey. More importantly, you must understand the reason behind these rules. The first time I put on Jersey uniform, I realized the responsibility that comes with it. And I'm so grateful to Sister Chao Yo, my mentor sister, for guiding me in this area. She reminded me right after we came back on our retreat that whatever the color of my uniform, it comes with responsibility. It represents Jersey. In fact, we are Jersey even when we are not in uniform. So I try to do a quick self-check once in a while by answering this question. First, if I were in uniform at that time, did my words and behavior reflect Jersey correctly? Second, if I'm not in uniform, would others recognize me as a Jersey volunteer from the way I speak, the way I behave, the tone of my voice? The answer to these questions always make me realize that I still need to practice a lot more. I remember Master said that in her next life, she wants to return to Jersey. But without Master, would the Jersey that we know now still be here? Many of us responded at the time that we would follow Master in our next life, life after life. But I wonder, after making that vow, what have we done differently? Did we do enough? Did I do enough? We must make sure that our actions in this lifetime will ensure the continuation of Jersey long after we were gone. If we could do that, then Jersey will still be here when Master comes back, when we come back. We must take our vow to Master seriously. And that, in my opinion, is also faith. Lastly, let me share this interesting painting for our contemplation. An art competition was organized on the subject of peace. Now, how do we express peace in a painting? I would probably paint a beautiful scenery where everything is quiet and serene, but instead, this painting won the competition. the painting of an ocean in a violent storm. As you can see, the lightning cut across the sky. The waves were crashing onto the rock. How could so much violence defeat peace? The artist get it all wrong and painted the opposite of peace instead. But if you look carefully, inside a tiny hollow in the rock, a mother bird and its babies were sleeping soundly in the nest. That was it. Peace is not the absence of storm, but the rest in the storm. The peace in our heart and mind amidst the storm surrounding us. All of us seek for peace, right? But what does peace even mean? We associate peace with absence of suffering, but suffering is unavoidable. So peace is not about the absence of suffering, but to be at peace despite the suffering. And often, most of us only focus on the storm. The painting is also a reminder to me for us to remain steadfast, regardless of the challenges. And that requires faith. I grew up thinking that Buddhism is about prayers, rituals, memorizing precepts that most of the times didn't make sense to me. But now, listening to Master and try to practice the teaching, suddenly everything about Buddhism makes perfect sense, just like this painting. And before I end, I'd like to thank, special thanks to Sister Yvonne for encouraging me to listen to the word of wisdom again. I used to listen and then I feel that I couldn't understand it, and then she encouraged me to come back and do the sharing during the group cultivation this year. And I think I learned a lot from that experience. So Kan Ân Sister Yvonne. And with that, I end my sharings. Kan Ân very much.
And Sister GT for such an awesome sharing. I now hand over the floor to Brother Joe to give the feedback. No words from me.
Yeah, that was a beautiful sharing. I think every part of it, it's hard to believe that you retired. What do they retire? Do you retire young? Why do you retire? Why are you already retired? There seems to be so much more life, you know, and that's why I think it inspires people that the way that you mention certain things. I think you pick the word faith out, and I think that's also the question that we always are asking. What do you have faith in, or how much faith do you have, and what do you have faith in? And most of the time, you know, you have faith in God, you have faith in the Bible, you have faith in the sutra, you have faith in Master, and I would like to think that what Master is trying to lead us is that ultimately you had to have faith in yourself, and knowing, okay, not the yourself that is afflicted, that I'm sure we are, but have faith in that we can be better, and believing that we can be like Master. Just the other day, you know, after the session is over and Master was giving out the gifts, and so we're standing in the back and we're just watching as people are going through, and you would be amazed at how energetic Master is, and the word is, I don't see it, but word is that as soon as Master enters her study, when no one's, you know, when she's alone or when no one's by her side except for the close servants, that she just became like a caterpillar, you know, she just falls apart, and you know, it pains here, aches there, things like that. Okay, but it's hard for me to believe, but I believe it. Okay, I believe it. Now, but another person was telling me, Brother Joe, look, Master is so energetic, and it's hard to believe that she's 85 years old. And look, and we need her, right? And I don't know where it came from, but what I responded was, part of it, I also believe what the other person was saying, but I said, I think we're all each playing our role. I believe if I was in that place, if I was in Master's place, I probably would be able to sit up very, sit up straight and look ahead and listen to everybody, even if I don't really want to, and then just sit through all of it. And the person looked at me, like, blasphemy. How can you say that, right? And I was like, explaining to him. I said, okay, brother, listen. So, before you become a father, did you think you can be a father? Before you become a father, who had to take care of, one and then two and then three kids, when they're growing up, when they're like terrible twos, did you think you could? You probably didn't think you can, but you did. Before many things happen, you didn't know you can, but now you know you can because it happened. And a lot of times you're at that position because you want to, and in Master's position, Master made the vow to do this. So she is strong enough. And when she was at that place, obviously, you become that, right? But obviously, going back to my assumption, going back to the way that I mentioned, yeah, before you become a father, you could also think that you would be a good father, but you turn out not to be a good father too, right? So same thing. I think that if I were in Master's position, I would be able to do that, but it could be the other way around too. But all in all, what I'm saying is, don't underestimate yourself. Maybe we're not there yet, right? I mean, when you were little, did you think that you could do all that? Did you think you can drive a car? Yeah. No one no one doubted you, but you couldn't do it at the time. But you don't know what's going to happen years and years and years down the road. You could, if you follow the path, if you do it correctly. But if you don't, then you're probably not going to get that license, right? So you could. And I remember the way that I got my first driver's license was because I was fearful of taking the road test in the US. I was very fearful. And then my mom said, look at me, I got a driver's license. Look at that old lady. She got a driver's license. You're telling me you're 19 years old, you're 20 years old, you can't get a driver's license, you can't be better driver than her? And then I go like, well, I think you got a point there. So having faith is important, believing that you could do it. And I think that Master believes us that if we are put into that position, we become the Buddha nature shows ourselves. That's what Master is so desperately trying to get us to believe and get us to see and get that Buddha nature to show and stay in that form, because we just show it. And then after all the events is over, after the, the cleaning up, for example, everybody's pulled together and then we're all rooting for each other. And then when it's all done, we're going back to fighting each other. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying, people do that. So, but for that brief moment, it showed. And Master believed that that's who we are, not the fighting ones, the ones that work together, the ones where the heart is one, the ones where we give all of ourselves and selflessly. That's the one that she had faith in. That's the real us. Not the one that's fighting, not the one that's bickering, not the one that is confused, not the one that is afflicted, the one that she saw constantly. So we just have to have faith too. I believe that. I believe, we could be like Master, but we just didn't have enough will, and we didn't have enough vow to do that. But we can definitely become like Master. Just like, if you used to look up to your teacher, like mentor, when you were young. I remember my 7th grade teacher. I always remember her. Somehow something in me clicked that I just understand the way that she teaches math. I don't know why. I was never quite good with number, but somehow the way she teaches, it's just so clear, and it just clicked in me. And I would think that, can I be someone like her? And even though that I think there's still a lot of work for me to do, but I think that I'm reaching out to more people, remembering that I can be like her, to somehow turn that switch in people and say, hey, Dharma isn't so difficult. It's actually quite straightforward. And it's not so bad. It's actually quite close to all of us. And there's nothing to be afraid of. So maybe I'm doing just that. So you could do it too. You make the vow, it's going to happen. You have to believe it. That's faith. Okay, that's faith. So thank you, Sister GT. And like I said, I don't believe you retire, but now that you retire, I'm happy that you get to have more time to do Tzu Chi and to figure out to put that faith to good use. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister GT. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Thank you to all the sisters that does the sharing today. I now hand back the platform over to Sister Siu Ching.
Brother Joe, 感恩 Sister. Wow, really, words cannot express my feeling now. I'm like floating in the air. Can we believe that we're not even like with the others? I think maybe many people are celebrating New Year, but for us, this is more than those feelings. The Dharma joy, indeed.感恩 Brother Joe for again. Yeah, Brother Joe, you are definitely doing that. Switching on, like reminding all of us of the great potential we each have. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so happy looking at each other. I'm looking at Sister, all of the sisters here, each of them have this, like Sister Yvonne, I'm really very grateful for her. And a lot of these sisters here, I think today we see a lot of pure hearts, be it in the translation, the Veggie Promo, sign language, and many others. These are all of these. In fact, you are all my teachers. I'm very grateful. Like I think Teacher Mei Yun, yeah, she has a lot of wonderful. 不是因为你很厉害才开始，就是因为你开始才很厉害。It's not because you are very powerful then only you start. It's because you start, keep doing it, then only you become very powerful. And I like another phrase of Teacher Mei Yun, which is it's like when 一个人走得快, one person can go very fast, but a group of us we can go very far. That's why masters always encourage us to work together in harmonious because of everyone working together, and we are very grateful to be guided by Master, and we have Brother Joe who have been guiding us since 2015. Wow, 真的是 great diligence. That's why today we can see a lot of seeds sprouting out, and Sister Hu Ying is a very good example, fine example. We hope this pure heart translation is not only one platform inspired by Sister Hu Ying. There's another one which is brewing, working in progress. We hope soon we can share on that platform. That one also another very powerful platform. I'm very so very grateful today to hear like Sister Seva Mani who mentioned. Very grateful to hear the frank sharing of the sister. I also never realized the background of our. Everyone is truly this grand sutra that we can learn from. Sister GT, Sister GT, 2019, she was the only grey uniform in our group. We were in the same group, and Sister GT never failed to amaze us with her great wisdom. Sister GT, I agree with Brother Joe, have faith in yourself. Truly, you are really good. Great Dharma sharer and great volunteers. I think just like Sister Yvonne, we are also looking forward to have Sister GT as part of us in our translation, be in the Pure Heart or Kaohsiung book study.感恩, everyone, 感恩 for staying with us today. Hope that each of us could sustain this Dharma joy. And first I must also 感恩 to all the brothers and sisters for joining this platform. We know many are celebrating outside there. Thank you for your presence. Hope that we could continue.
Take one photo first.
Oh yeah, betul. This one is the New Year.
Very special.
Yeah, okay, before we ask Brother lead us in being homage.
We take photo first. Everybody on the video.
Yeah. Okay. Tomorrow we also have another wonderful session. Brother David Liu as well as Sister Ashley. At the same time, we know many are going for the flood survey. Some empower PPB Chinsitang for the third booster. Everyone stay safe.
Good, Sister Julie. Okay, ready? Give a beautiful smile. Year 2021, last day.
Oh yeah, last day.
Okay. Oh, one more. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Wow. Okay, 感恩大家。来we invite Brother Joe to lead us in paying homage. Okay. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, 感恩 everyone. See you around tomorrow. And take care. Take good care.
everyone.
Cảm ơn.
Okay, bye bye. Happy
Bye.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Those